Hey guys, it's Joey. So as a good portion of the world seems to be, right now I am obsessed with Stranger Things. It was recommended to me by a few friends. I had heard zero about it before last week, and then all of a sudden I saw posts on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr popping up about Stranger Things, and I watch so many TV shows that I felt like maybe this one was going to be one I have to skip. But people, hammered it in that I have to watch it. It's definitely going to be something I like at least. And it turns out it's something I love. It's totally up my alley. I mean, you got your old filmic kind of 80s horror style. You have a lot of David Lynch. You have a lot of Steven Spielberg. You have a lot of Stephen King. There's just so many things they're pulling from, and it's so beautiful and so well done and so well written, and it seems so pure that it's hard not to like. So after watching it about 1.5 times, I'm probably going to go for a full second run pretty soon because I just love living in that atmosphere that it makes. It feels so familiar, yet it's so new. It sort of reminds me of when I started watching Twin Peaks and I marathon that. And when you marathon it, you sort of get into a headspace where you're in that world. That's probably the beauty of marathoning certain TV shows. You become so immersed in that world and the people around and those characters that it's when it ends, it's hard to break free. And I think that's what is really special about Stranger Things. It feels so familiar, and there's so many elements and cues and references that it just feels so comfortable and familiar, which sort of pulls you in and makes you like, I've seen this before. I feel like I've seen this before, but the best thing is you haven't. It's completely original, it feels like, at the same time as being so referential, and they're bringing so many influences, so many obvious influences too. And we have Winona Ryder, who I've loved since I was a little kid. Beetlejuice, I even loved her in Mr. Deeds. That was like one of my favorite movies for a while, and she was like my favorite actress when I was younger. And she does weird and creepy so well, so I'm super glad they got her for this because she's perfect. So I think the reason this show is such a hit is because it takes something so familiar and just gives it something new, gives it some new life. The soundtrack, I'm going on so many different tangents, but the soundtrack is phenomenal. Like the theme song is like my phone ringtone now. I love it, and I know they're coming out with the soundtrack soon. They just announced, but it feels so familiar, and it's so new, and it's such a, it feels like it is a love letter to 80s sort of horror, sci-fi, fantasy films in almost any respect, in all the references and the way it's shot and the subtle nuances and the not so subtle nuances. It nails it, and I really hope Netflix, streamlines season 2, because I know they haven't released the numbers for the views, but this show is huge. At least in my circles, I feel like I'm just hearing about Stranger Things everywhere, and people seem to really love it. I've heard very little negative about it yet. Anything people do say that's negative about it, it's derivative and it's unoriginal and stuff like that. But I think they missed the point. More or less, they just miss what it is. And I commend the execs at Netflix, because they're doing shit that primetime TV, like, I don't want to name any channels, but primetime TV is not doing, and they're delivering stuff that feels, familiar, but it's totally original, which is what I love about Stranger Things. It gives me all the things I love about other movies, about the movies that I grew up watching, the movies that influenced me as a creative, and it gives you just something new in that space. It's just incredible what the Duffer Brothers did with that, and they seem very enthusiastic about their project and the future of it, which makes me, as someone who absolutely loves the show and wants to be a true filmmaker, wants to make TV shows and loves to write stuff, it makes me so enthusiastic that they got to do what they wanted to. They got to tell the story that they came up with. It's just fantastic. So I think Stranger Things, it's gonna be around for a while. I think we're gonna see season 2, maybe season 3. I don't know how far ahead they have planned, the Duffer Brothers, but I feel like that's a world that you can just build and build and build, and it only gets bigger when you show the stuff. I don't want to spoil it at all, But when you show the stuff you show, and you know, you could go into the whole backstory behind 11 and the facility and the cop and his mom and how did this come to be? It's just so it's so intriguing. I'm already fascinated. I'm flabbergasted by the quality of this show, and I commend Netflix for actually, you know, pushing it forward and like taking a chance on this show that's so inspired heavily to the core by things that have been done already, and it just feels perfect for this time, this, you know, this time period. It feels like you're taking that style and you're renewing it, and it shows you what, like, I feel like there's so much left you could do in that 80s horror space that just hasn't been done, that hasn't reached its full potential, and they're taking that, bringing it into the new age, and you know, embracing it, and you know, renewing it, and it's incredible. I feel like I just want to go on about how amazing the show is and how influential I think it's going to be to people, horror fans and creatives that love writing science fiction and fantasy and horror, like myself, and future filmmakers. I think this show is going to be very important, and I just love it. I think it's going to do really well. It is doing really well, and I just wish it so much more success, and I can't wait to see more from it. Let me know what you think about Stranger Things in the comments below. I'd love to hear your input. Do you love it like I do? I love it. If you have any criticisms, let me know those too. I'm really curious to see what you guys took away from the show. And if you're excited for a potential next season, you know, drop any of the theories you have in the comment section below too, because I haven't gotten into that game yet. I haven't read any theories or, you know, in-depth comments about what's happening in that world, so I'd love to hear yours. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this video so you get more videos like this. You could always suggest topics as well. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.